Humans have been calling certain experiences supernatural for thousands of years. Visions, intuition, premonitions, spiritual awakenings, moments where people feel like something bigger is speaking or moving through them. And what is interesting is that these experiences show up across all cultures, across all religions, and across history, even in people who have never spoken to each other or shared belief systems.
Beyond the ordinary, the human experience remains a mystery. Dreams, visions, life-saving intuition, and the persistent sense that reality contains more than what is visible. These experiences were named sacred, supernatural, and divine. Entire belief systems were built to contain what no one yet had the words to explain. Knowledge created hierarchy, and interpretation was left in the hands of those looking for authority and power, while the majority took interpretation for absolute truth. Today we have the tools to look deeper, to give language to what was once a mystery. What was once labeled as sacred and unknowable now becomes understood and accessible. We now truly see that demystifying mysticism connects us deeper to the human experience.
Hi, I am the metaphysician, and this series is called Demystifying Mysticism. In this series, we explore the biological, psychological, and neurological mechanics behind human experiences that people often label as supernatural. We're not here to dismiss anything. We're not here to reduce ideologies. We're here to understand what is actually happening within the systems that make us human. Because for most of human history, we had the experience long before we had the language to explain what was happening within the brain, the nervous system, and human perception. So today, we are starting with a strong foundational question. Why do humans experience the supernatural? Today's episode brought to you by Chupa Panza Tea. Suck in your stomach, baby. First, let's go ahead and define what mysticism actually is. Mysticism in itself is not a belief system because it is not tied to any specific culture or religion. Mysticism is simply the human experience of perceiving meaning or reality beyond normal sensory processing. It can show up as intense intuition. It can also show up as feeling deeply intertwined with something greater than yourself. It can also show up in moments of clarity that you feel is almost downloaded into your mind. It can show up during a prayer or worship service. It can show up during meditation when you're fasting or in the middle of grief, trauma, or even extreme burst of joy. Mysticism is an experience in itself. It's not proof that something external is happening, but it's neither proof that something external is not happening. It's a human experience that deserves to be understood out loud from the inside out. And first and foremost, to understand why these experiences happen and why they feel powerful, we have to understand how the brain actually works. Every second of your life, your brain is taking past experiences, emotional memories, and environmental signals, and it's using them to predict what is happening all around you. It is constantly filling in missing information so that you can move through the world quickly, efficiently, and safely. This is incredibly efficient. It allows you to recognize faces instantly. It allows you to sense danger before you logically process it. It allows you to read emotional tone without anyone speaking a word. But it also means that your perception of reality is always influenced by memory, emotion, and nervous system state. In other words, reality is not what your eyes see. It is what your brain predicts and organizes. Now let's talk about why mystical experiences often feel more real than normal experiences. Emotion plays a massive role in how we experience reality. When you experience intense emotion, your brain releases neurochemicals like dopamine. I have to learn how to pronounce this. Norepinephrine. All right, let's do this, baby. Marker. When you experience intense emotion, your brain releases neurochemicals like dopamine, norepinephrine, and cortisol. Norepinephrine, word of the day. These chemicals increase attention, increase pattern recognition, and increase how strongly memories are encoded. That means emotionally charged moments feel sharper, clearer, and more meaningful. This is why people often describe mystical experiences as life-changing or unforgettable. The brain is literally encoding them more deeply. Stress can also heighten perception. Fasting can change neurotransmitter activity and increase mental clarity for some people. Isolation reduces external noise and increases awareness of internal signals like thoughts, bodily sensations, and emotional patterns. Throughout history, many religious and spiritual practices unknowingly use methods that altered perception through biology. Fasting reduces digestive load and can increase mental focus. Extended prayer and meditation regulate breathing and shift your nervous system's activity. Rituals create predictable emotional structure, which increases meaning encoding in the brain. None of these practices are random. They interact directly with how the brain and body process information. So why did humans historically interpret these experiences as spiritual or mystical? Well, try to use the very best tools that they had available, which were storytelling through mythology, symbolism, and religion. Those frameworks helped a lot of people find meaning and help organize experiences that felt too large or too complex to explain through daily language. You see, that doesn't make these interpretations wrong per se. It means that they were meaningful events and explanations built from the knowledge available at that time. What a time to be alive, because today we actually have the tools to better explain these experiences. We have research on how memory is formed. We have research on nervous system regulation. We have research on how the brain constructs reality through prediction and pattern recognition. Demystifying mysticism is a tool that we can bring to the conversation because we're not replacing old interpretations, but we are actually expanding our understanding of human experience. There is also something very important that people don't really talk about. That is understanding the biological and psychological mechanics behind mystical experiences. We're not removing their significance. We're actually working on giving people more personal agency. When you understand how your nervous system shapes perception, you can regulate it. When you understand how emotional memory influences your current reality, you can rewrite it. When you understand how your brain creates meaning, you become more intentional about the meaning you assign to your life, because ultimately, it is you, the beholder. This prevents you from being too overwhelmed with life and life experiences, and instead, you start participating in the game consciously. In this series, we will be exploring topics such as intuition, spiritual awakenings, manifestation, trauma bonding, ego dissolution, fasting, altered states of consciousness, and many, many other experiences that people often label as mystical. But we're going to approach them through one lens, and it's how the mind and body create the experiences people label as supernatural. We're not here to take the magic away. Absolutely not. We're actually here to show where the magic actually lives, inside the very systems that make you human. In a world obsessed with asking why things happen. Demystifying mysticism explores how they happen. Because when you truly understand the mechanics of your mind and body, you gain the power to navigate your reality consciously. I am the metaphysician, and I will see you in the next episode.